that funky slide guitar music that comes in every Monday through Friday, live at 5 on the Evil FB Network. YouTube, check us out, subscribe, type in IE Newswire, Roy Blicker. You'll see my nice smiling, shining face. Subscribe, check out all the archives, do all that good stuff. Man, oh man, what a weekend. Racing was going crazy. We'll have you all the highlights. Harrington's harassment at Cochran. Macri, the king of the kings. Tim's 3 in a day. Sammy Swindell, 52 years later at Riverside, and a bunch. We'll get to that in a minute. Part 3 of Julie Watts' great series on Diaper-gate. Jenny Poo Newsom, Gavin Newsom, their potential crookality, arrogance, and just all of a sudden middle finger to all of us. We'll have a report on that. The 10 biggest truths in government. We'll get to that in a second. Love this picture over here of back in the day when the photographers and the signalers used to stand right out next to the racetrack. You can see two guys. Well, you see the main guy there, but you look off to the right, the other photog guy, 2 of the 3, there was actually one guy that was on the ball and got the shot of them upside down, but 2 of them, one's looking back the wrong way, and one, he just has his cameras hanging. But that's a great shot from back in the day when we probably all didn't have very many brain cells. We were really the retarded half of the population back in the day. We'll get to the 10 harsh truths about government here in a sec, but we'll get to the race report. Will Harrington and Cody Overton at dirt late model race, the Southern Nationals, we're going after the same piece of real estate. Here we go. Oops. Keep clicking this. Starting off, here we go.
Taking this time. Now he slides up in front. And here comes Overton. The 2-for-1. The BOGO. He's going for it. They're 3 wide. They're banging off each other. They're wrecking on the front straightaway.
And they'll wreck on the front straightaway. Harrington and the 22 machine of Zach Mitchell.
That's Steve Post, the postman who does the NASCAR races on that. Harrington was none too happy with Cody Overton as he stops. And Cody's going by. He gives him a salute. Back and forth.
He's not a happy camper. He is not a happy camper out there as he is going to have a little conversation. Looks like maybe a one-sided conversation with Cody Overton.
I don't know what. Here comes the throw. Here comes the throw. Oh, man, boys will be boys. Cody Overton went on to win the race out there. Cochran Southern Nationals was a good series out there. The Rich Vogler Classic. What's it been? 36 years since we lost Rich Vogler at Salem. The other high bank track, they were at Winchester. Fastest half mile, highest bank. Separates from the men from the boys. You got to have big balls to run at Winchester. Well, 14-second qualifying laps on a half-mile track in a Silver Crown car. Here's the beginning of the race.
The Rich Vogler Classic goes to green. You're going to dash off into turns 1 and 2. Has the advantage onto the back straightaway. It will be the 77 of Danner. The Avante windows the doors number 21 is C.J. Leary chasing close by. The 5 Armstrong settling up at that 3rd spot here.
So Briggs Danner went on to lead all 100 laps of the Rich Vogler Classic in the famed number 77, who Cody Swanson has led 400 laps in the last 4 races. He is now the USAC Silver Crown race director, so Briggs Danner took over in fine fashion and picked up 500 laps total of competition by the 77 car led in the last 5 Silver Crown races. That's quite a feat. Here's some of the cars. The Vogler Craft, which was Rich Mad Dog Vogler's dad, built a lot of midgets. He raced them too. He died, had a heart attack. I think, what was it, at IRP? Or was it somewhere there in that? But he died in a midget. So did, well, Rich died in a sprint car. There's one of the Vogler Craft cars. Another one, famed Johnny Vance Aristocrat one that Vogler ran a lot of races in. That's one of his early, there's some of the early vintage cars that were out at the Rich Vogler Classic at Winchester Speedway Saturday night. Bud Kading, in his grandfather's Howard Kading Classic at Watsonville, didn't get off to a great start. Here we go.
We're packing their way. Race start bike. Oh, big crash. Bud Kading into the catch. It's hard. And Kona. We're red.
That was a pretty hard hit by Bud. There's Dominic Selzy running out of his car, checking on Bud, making sure he's okay. That was a pretty horrific crash by Bud Kading. Again, it was his grandfather who just recently passed away, Howard Kading's 2-day race they had up on there. Shane Gobelick won on Saturday night at the Howard Kading Classic, repeating the feat that he did 3 years ago in 2023 in the NARC 410 sprint cars. 2-day weekend up at Watsonville Speedway to a packed house up there. Oh, here we go. Here's Shane Gobelick taking the last lap. Here we go.
Series victories. It's been a while since he's made it to NARC victory lane. Thunderbolt, May 18, 2024. He picks up another Howard Kading Classic here tonight. Shane Gobelick gets it done. 10,000 to the 17W. Landon Brooks runs second.
So there you go. He picked up 17,000 on the show on Saturday night, winning the Bud Kading Classic. Then we hit the King's Royal at the famed Eldora Speedway. See if she'll play. Here we go.
Cars upside down, multiple cars in turn number 1. Kerry Manson already out of the 55. We saw some flames coming from the Corey Day with the initial lead. Red flag conditions, cars upside down, multiple cars in turn number 1.
That was a horrific crash starting the first night of the King's Royal race at Eldora Speedway on that Corey Day. Eventually won Friday night's King's Royal shindig. Saturday night went to the Concrete Kids for the second year in a row. Anthony Macri.
For the final time, back-to-back crowns for the Concrete King. Anthony Macri wins his second consecutive King's Royal.
Rico Abreu was third. Gio Selzy, Dominic's brother, was third on that King's Royal race. Ryan Timms did a 3-4 in one day. 1:10 a.m. at Knoxville 410, 1:40 a.m. Knoxville 360, and 10:40 p.m. all on July 19th at Huset Speedway 410. 3 races won in one day. This has been the first time that feat's been pulled off. But it's very rare you'll see a guy win 3 sprint car races in one day. The famed Sammy Swindell, longtime outlaw sprint car driver for over 50 years. Here he is in 1974 at the famed Riverside International Raceway in West Memphis, Arkansas. In the 91, here he is last Saturday night at that same Riverside International Raceway in West Memphis, Arkansas, taking the B car feature, which is kind of a nostalgic look, but they run a lot of these cars. They just came up with this class a couple of years ago. It's basically a non-down tube sprint car with the body on it, but kind of resembling the old B car super modifieds that Sammy and his dad and his brother and many others, Hooker Hood and Ricky Hood, ran all for, let's say, many decades, if not centuries, at the famed Riverside Raceway in West Memphis, Arkansas. Joey Logano took the North Wilkesboro NASCAR shindig, which he seems to be dominating that track a bunch. Here we go. 10 harsh truths about government. This came Kevin Jeffries, our supervisor, former supervisor and assemblyman from here in Rivco. He posted this, but they're pretty good. Power attracts the worst and protects it. Government does not eliminate corruption. It institutionalizes and defends it. This should be taught in every freaking school. And this should be taught to all these communists that think this is going to be the golden age of America if they bring this. Control, not service, is the goal. Every policy, agency, and program expands control even when it's sold as help. We are here to help you. No, they're not. They're looking to enrich themselves and enslaving you. Your tax money funds their power, not your freedom. The more you earn, the more they take, and the less they owe you. Yes, this tax rich, they're not taking, the money funds their power. They're taking from someone else, giving you 1/10 of a cent, keeping 99.9% of it, and they are the ones that are benefiting, and you are the ones that are going to be grabbing your ankles. Bureaucracies never shrink voluntarily. Entire livelihoods depend on your dependence. Cutting is the threat, not the trend. Of course, government always is a parasite. It always seeks to grow, and let unconstrained, it will kill the host and everything dies. Laws are for you, loopholes are for them. The rules are rigid for citizens and elastic for insiders. Rules for thee and not for me. That's what communism is all about. Yeah, I get to do what I want. You are going to get told what to do. Elections offer choices, not change. You're allowed to vote on who manages the decline, not whether it continues. Crisis is their best ally. Fear justifies power grabs. The emergency today becomes the precedent tomorrow. Remember Hegelism. Create a crisis where one doesn't exist and walk in with the solution. That's what we're living today. Dissent is tolerated until it's effective. Speak freely, but you know that threatening the system narrative brings swift punishment. Look at the frickin' teachers who sent to Merrick Garland, Joe Biden's Department of Justice. Hey, prosecute Roy and all those that are going to school boards during COVID because we might have to go to work and actually earn our money. They divide to dominate. Keep the people fighting each other, and they'll never unite, and they'll never unite against the ones pulling the strings. The red ants, the black ants, put them in a jar, they're fine. Shake it up. That's divide to dominate. Freedom is not given by the government, it's taken back. The system won't return what it isn't forced to give. Liberty is a conquest. As Ben Franklin said when the lady asked him, "What have you given us?" he said, "A constitutional republic and your freedom. If you can keep it, Remains to be seen if we can keep it for another 250 days, much less 250 years. We'll get to this. Well, we'll get to the Diaper-gate Part 3, Jenny Poo, and much, much more on the rest of today's show. Yes, we will. We gotta get, don't know why we're doing that, we gotta get to the point of where we're not sitting on our dead asses all the time, or we're gonna get buried. It's just that critical. Here's Julie Watts, Part 3 of the report on Diaper-gate with Gavin Newsom. Go.
And here we are.
And here we are, back with several new developments in our Diaper-gate investigation. Spoiler alert, there wasn't actually a competitive bid process. Now, if you're just catching up,
Gavin Newsom is taking $20 million of your money, be distributing 40 million free diapers.
you see, California is giving away free California co-branded diapers through a multi-million-dollar state contract with a nonprofit Baby to...
Love Julie Watts, but they are not giving away free. They are taking, at the point of a gun, money from you, me, and everybody else, buying diapers, and then giving them at no cost to the people that are getting the diapers. They are not free anywhere. How many times do I have to explain this?
Baby, an organization with existing ties to both the Newsom administration and his wife.
And even sits on the board of her California Partners Project.
Now, we've been trying for months to get a copy of that contract and the competitive bid scoring sheets.
The state waited 24 days to promptly notify us that it would need another 28 days to get us a copy of that contract that the governor announced nearly 2 months ago.
Through a competitive bidding process.
In the meantime, I went down a bit of a rabbit hole this weekend, digging through budget bills and contract databases and hours of hearings.
The optics of this vendor is not good at all.
And we discovered
Went through a competitive bidding process.
the $6.2 million contract is actually non-competitively bid. And Baby to Baby has at least 2 previous no-bid contracts.
That's how.
How do we... How could anybody trust anything with Gavin Newsom's record? Oh, yeah, we competitively bidded this. No, you didn't. No bid contract. You watch Riverside County come across. How many times? No bid contract, no bid contract, no bid contract. And then, well, we got $10 billion in Riverside County, and we're running a structural deficit. It still isn't enough. Damn near twice as much as we had 5-6 years ago. You stole from us. Just like Gavin Newsom and crew have stolen $355 billion to screw us again.
The relationship with Baby to Baby started, but then the conversation
Why does it matter?
continued. What more could we be doing?
This is how the budget subcommittee chair described it in a hearing shortly after Newsom made the Baby to Baby announcement.
A process that does not have oversight and full transparency.
You see, California state contracts have competitive bidding rules. The state must publicly advertise and award the contract to the highest score or the lowest bid. Legally, losing bidders are notified and they have a right to protest. There are a few legal exemptions to the competitive bid requirement, things like a state of emergency or when only one company can make a product. But in this case, it was one sentence buried in the state budget that exempted the contract from competitive bidding, review, approval, and public posting.
It allows you to essentially engage in negotiated contracting outside of state rules.
That's how the administration described it to state senators. The state simply posted a preliminary request for information, or RFI. 15 organizations responded, and the state picked Baby to Baby.
We had nonprofits, we had diaper manufacturers.
That's the agency director.
And so we believe it was a robust, meaningful process.
We do know several applicants, including one of the nation's largest diaper bank networks, never got an interview.
None of you in front of me got to choose who this vendor is. I recognize that.
Now, to be fair, we did background Baby to Baby.
A highly rated charity with more than $70 million in revenue. Tax records confirm the co-CEOs have made less than $70 grand a year for the last 15 years, and their celebrity board members do not take a salary.
But here's the thing. This is one of more than a dozen similar competitive bid exemptions in this year's state budget, totaling over $1 billion. Contracts don't have to be competitively bid and don't have traditional oversight.
So there you go. Oh, whether the company is good, bad, or indifferent, like the rules on the government. The communistic way that we're heading down to is rules for thee and not for me. And we keep rewarding ding-dongs like Gavin Newsom. Here's Jenny Poo crying crocodile tears or trying to run sympathy because she's getting investigated over this and much, much more, over her nonprofits and Gavin Newsom's BS payments, which are just, they may be legal, but they're extortion. There may be legalized extortion. Here we go.
Is Jennifer Siebel Newsom. Jennifer, I'm so glad you're here. This is an ordeal. Do you have any more information about what exactly the Justice Department is claiming to be looking for?
No, this is a fishing expedition. I mean, this is typical Trump fashion, go after your enemies, and so you'd have to ask the DOJ. But the irony is that this all happened as I was premiering my latest documentary, Misrepresentation Rise Up, which looks at the myriad ways the patriarchy, conservatives...
hate the straight white male. Everything is... blame them. That is destroy. There is no male and female. You can be a dog or a kitty cat or whatever you decide. My latest I'm going to destroy humanity film by this lady's screwed up head.
Harass, threaten, intimidate, and try to silence women who speak truth to power and...
Truth to power and silence women. Yeah. We want to silence stupid women who are trying to destroy our kids and our fabric and our way of life.
The irony of all ironies is that life in this instance is imitating art, and it's here in front of us under Trump's leadership.
Is it having an impact on your work? Because the investigation is allegedly looking into your nonprofit that focuses on gender equity. How is this impacting you in your business, essentially?
Look, I've written, directed, and produced 5 documentaries that expose harmful gender stereotypes and norms and the benefits to society when we value women, when we value the feminine, when we help men lean into care at home. And I will keep doing this work. I am very proud of the work that I do. We're making an impact in the world. The world is better off when women are supported. Children are better off when women's wealth, health, and safety are addressed. Our communities are healthier, and our economy thrives.
The Trump administration has been using the Department of Justice, it's no surprise, to launch investigations and prosecutions of people that the president sees as his political opponents. But is it true that this investigation started during the Biden administration?
I don't know the details. I do know that, Trump was coming after my husband back when Biden was president, and
I don't know the details. It's all Trump's fault. It's the investigation into you, Jenny Poo, started under the Biden administration. Tipped off by people inside your administration, inside your husband's administration. You know exactly what the hell's going on. Trying to play the victim. Oh, I'm a hot-looking chick, and I learned how to manipulate the process, and I'm doing it again. Screw that woman. And everything she stands for.
1 minute, Roy.
Sean said we'll be joining the Mighty KMET here in a minute. I mean, I just can't. Again, Jenny Poo, if you're going to stay in the ball game, then have enough guts to get in there and knock it out of the park. Don't try and play victim or this or it's everybody else's.
Hello, Dr. Kelly. How are you?
It's absolutely.
How are you?
It's
I'm
absolutely
doing okay. Doing
incredulous
okay.
of what this woman.
You got about 30 seconds. I'll put you on so you can hear everything coming in now, Dr. Kelly.
Crazy what this woman comes up with. I mean, jeez. Can just make it stop, man. We'll be on.
All right, 10 seconds, Roy.
For those who support America, patriotswitch.com.
IE Newswire Daily is on the air.
The following is a paid program. Views and claims expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky live guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday live at 5:30 on the Mighty Met 1490 AM, broadcasting all over the Inland Empire in the aforementioned AM band. Join our vast video audience on the Evil Uppy Network. YouTube, check us out, subscribe. Type in IE Newswire Roy Bleckert. You'll see my nice, smiling, shining face. Subscribe, do all that good stuff on that. The 10 truths about government. Go back and look at the first half hour. We're either going to be a communist country in probably 250 days, or we're going to all get off our dead rear ends and start getting involved in the ball game. We had the race report from the Rich Vogler Classic to the Howard Gating Classic to the King's Royal and all that in between. It was a great racing weekend, and go out to your local short track of that. There's racing somewhere in America every day of the week during the summertime, so there's no excuse for you to be sitting at home looking at the 3x5 screen or listening to that complete idiot woman, Jenny Pooh Newsom, Gavin Newsom's wife. Boy, she's beyond. I'd better stop now before I get myself into deeper trouble than I usually do. But as we usually do on a Monday, we have, as I've determined her, the supreme physician in all the world, expert on COVID-19 and just about everything else, Dr. Kelly Victory. Welcome to IE Newswire with Roy.
Hey, Roy, great to be with you as always. And I never cease to be amazed at the low caliber of the candidates that the Democrats managed to find. It's stunning to me that we are actually talking about Gavin Newsom and AOC and Zoran Mondani, these people who have achieved high position in the Democrat Party. It really is remarkable, and I keep thinking any day now, the left, even the relatively progressive left, is going to wake up and go, oh my God, these candidates suck.
You bring up a very interesting point. I mean, I talk to political insiders, pollsters, guys that make it, a pretty penny doing this stuff. And man, they're all over the map of coming up what's going to happen here in the midterms in November of 26. And I mean, nobody has a handle on it. While there's a big contingent of the country that's pissed off at Trump about this, that, and everything else. Same thing with the Democrats. They are mad. And typically, if Trump was, they were mad at Trump at this and like their midterms are going and that's a tradition. Well, they're also maybe even madder at the Democrats and how the Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumers and AOCs and all that. They might be even more madder at them. So this might be one of the most volatile election seasons we've seen. I'm not saying that the Republicans are gonna keep the House. They could keep it. Democrats could lose it. We could have split houses. We could have all sorts of. I don't think anybody has a handle on what's going to happen in November, Dr. Kelly.
I agree with you. And frankly, in my lifetime, I've never seen a division within the Democrat Party as high as it is today. And that's a good thing for us, by the way. When you start hearing people, like James Carville or Van Jones going, what the hell are these people talking about? They're nuts. Van Jones came out today and said, my own party, the Democrat Party, is coming up with ideas, and they're suggesting that in order to be progressive, we need to embrace these ideas, and these ideas are flat out crazy. And, so you have a lot of people who have been talking heads and pundits in that party who are saying this does not work. So, when AOC is trying to present herself as a moderate, because she knows that even her own party's gone too far, that things are really dicey for them. That's the best thing we've got going for us as conservatives is the fractionation within the Democrat Party. Now, that still doesn't mean they won't pull off a massive win because they always hold the wild card of cheating. And they cheat. That's why, there's still many, many blue states that are not interested in having voter ID because they know with true voter ID, if we had true election integrity, they wouldn't win. They only win, at least in recent years. I'm not talking about going back to the 60s or 70s, but they've only run in recent years because of cheating, abject fraud.
1,000%. I mean, and the way they do it, they do it in a combination of ways. It's not just the machines. They do that. That's some of it. Ballot stuffing. They've made ballot harvesting legal in California and many places, and not cleaning the voter registration rolls and stuff. They built this system. We can keep counting that. We can keep taking in ballots till whenever we get the result we want. There's, not that it's necessarily illegal. A lot of this stuff is legal, and the Supreme Court even said, in their latest ruling, said, yeah, they can keep accepting ballots however long they want. So it may be corruption, but in a lot of cases, it's legalized corruption, Dr. Kelly.
No, I agree. A lot of the problem is with the system itself. We are the only country in the world that allows our elections to go on for months, frankly. People have months to vote. Even in third world countries, you show up on election day, you cast your ballot in person, or not. Frankly, if it were up to me, if someone died and made me queen, I would get rid of all mail-in ballots, with the exception, perhaps you could convince me, that active military who are being deployed and therefore cannot exert their constitutional right to vote should be allowed that by virtue of a mail-in ballot. But I don't care. If you happen to be on vacation in Paris, or on election day and therefore can't vote, too bad. If you happen to be on a work assignment in Germany, unless you are active military, I don't care. I think we should get rid of all mail-in ballots with the exception of military. Every other country has done that. Other countries require voter ID. It's only here. And so as you said, Roy, some of the stuff isn't outright illegal. A lot of it is, ballot harvesting and the rest. But our own election laws, our rules, our system have to be revamped to ensure election integrity.
We'll make you queen for a day so you can straighten all those for us on that. Here's another one that gets me on this stuff. And you hear about, the whatever, I go with the global warming, we're going to freeze to death, all this stuff. The fear, this and that, the latest one. How many times... it seems like every week, every month, every year you hear, I use coffee as an example. One day, if you drink a drop of coffee, it's going to kill you in the next second. If you drink 3 gallons of coffee a day, you'll live longer than Methuselah. This one just came out. 5 cups of coffee a day is fine for most adults, the Heart Association says. I guess you could say we're all going to die of something. And, what are you going to do? Deprive yourself of every joy in life I don't know what's going on, but I mean, I've ignored all the stuff because I'm a coffee addict and everything else, but I don't see where natural stuff, I mean, as long as you don't do it to excess, is going to hurt you in any way, Dr. Kelly.
Well, a couple of things I've said for a long time. The reality is, if you get rid of all sugar, refined foods, alcohol, tobacco, those sorts of things, you'll live another 10 years. You won't want to, but you will. Okay. You're right. I mean, you have to have some indulgences. That said, I am a huge coffee fan. I drink probably 5 or 6 cups every single day, and the data in my mind are very, very clear on the health benefits. Coffee is a very powerful antioxidant. It actually mitigates, interestingly, one thing they don't talk about, it mitigates the risk to your liver if you happen to drink alcohol. If you're if you imbibe alcohol in any amount, you are putting a stress on. Interestingly, drinking coffee balances that. People who drink coffee have much, much lower rates of alcoholic cirrhosis, even if they're heavy drinkers. It is known to improve performance. There are lots of reasons why you should drink coffee. The problem with most Americans is they go to Starbucks and they get, a latte with, 5 shots of, sugar and whipped cream and all sorts of other crap with it. If you want to drink coffee, in my mind, you should drink it with a minimal amount of adulterants, maybe a small amount of milk or cream, or take it the way I do, black, and you can drink your body's weight with it for 0 calories. It's a wonderful thing.
Yes, that's the whole thing is, if you go what they try to call coffee at your local whatever drive-through place or whatever, now you can't even go in California, and most of them, they lock the doors. But of that, they put tons of crappy in it. Yeah, that stuff is probably, I mean, you might as well drink a beer or a soda pop or eat 23 donuts, because that's about the same thing what you're doing when you order one of these whatever sugar-laden, cream-laden, whatever they're putting in this stuff at your local espresso bar.
Exactly right. And so, I have many patients who come in and say, I'm having such a hard time, managing my weight. And I will ask them, I said, well, let's start with, what do you have for breakfast? Well, I don't have breakfast. I say, so when's the first time you eat? And they'll say, lunch. I say, so you don't have anything before then? Well, yeah. I mean, I stop. All I have is a coffee and a muffin. I say, a coffee and a muffin. Let's talk about the coffee and the muffin. And the coffee and the muffin ends up being some double latte with 2 shots of something and a muffin from Starbucks. I'm like, okay, well, here's the deal, girlfriend. You're 1,600 calories into the day thinking you haven't, quote, eaten yet. And those 1,600 calories are pure, unadulterated sugar, fat, refined carbohydrates. It's the worst possible thing. And many, many Americans have fallen into that trap. Other countries, interestingly, if you look at other countries that remain lean, I don't care if you're looking at, Japan or France, they tend to not eat sweets in the morning. That's an American thing. This idea of having, Captain Crunch and Pop-Tarts and Danishes and pancakes, that's an American thing, and it starts your day off on exactly the wrong foot with a huge insulin spike, a huge dose of sugar and refined carbohydrates, and it's the worst possible thing you can do.
Switching gears on another thing of the vaccines and all this, I just can't express the gratitude I have that Robert Kennedy Jr. is in as HHS secretary. Here's, you reposted this, but here's his video on the latest that he's been uncovering or declassifying or getting rid of on the vaccines. Here we go.
Today, I'm proud to announce we've eliminated that policy by repealing a dangerous Biden-era provision in the CMS inpatient payment rule. And we're not stopping there. We're scanning every corner of the healthcare system for hidden incentives that corrupt medical judgment. What we're finding is alarming. Doctors are being paid to vaccinate, not to evaluate. They're pressured to follow the money, not the science. We've recently uncovered that more than 36,000 doctors had their Medicare reimbursements altered based upon childhood vaccination rates. That's not medicine. That's coercion. It's immoral. It has no place in a constitutional democracy or in a system that claims to protect children.
I'm going to say it has no place anywhere in any society throughout the world, Dr. Kelly.
No, you're exactly right. And I've been reporting on this, Roy, for years. And people call me, and they still do today on social media, a liar. They're saying that's not true. Doctors don't get incentivized. They don't get penalized for X, Y, Z. Yes, they do. And Bobby Kennedy is exposing that, yes, people have their CMS, their Medicare and Medicaid reimbursement rates slashed if they can't prove or document that they have X percent of their patient population fully vaccinated for whatever it is that they decide they want them vaccinated for, whether it's influenza or chickenpox or obviously COVID. So yes, and on the flip side, doctors were incentivized by the insurance companies. They got huge reimbursements to have X percentage of their patient population vaccinated for COVID. So your average pediatrician or internist who might be otherwise making, $180,000 a year was able to make upwards of $600,000 a year during COVID simply by vaccinating people. So you can't tell me that isn't a perverse incentive for doctors to do something even if they didn't believe it was medically necessary. If you've got 2 kids and a wife at home and somebody says, look, I can bump your take-home salary, this year from 180 to 600, you don't think that doctor's going to think twice about maybe pushing that vaccine? I hate to tell you, I think most people will. And Bobby Kennedy is 100% correct in saying this is perverse. It's immoral. There is no place for that in medicine. And you as a patient shouldn't be sitting there on that exam table wondering, is my doctor suggesting this, whatever it is, this chemotherapy, this surgery, this vaccine, this antibiotic, is it because he or she really believes it's what I need? Or is it because he or she is getting a kickback, that's what it should be called, for prescribing this thing or recommending this thing? And patients should never be in a position where they have to ask themselves that question.
This is, Obamacare, Medicare for all, government-run health care. This is what you have to look forward to if the government is going to control everything. You're going to get what the government dictates or to you, not what you choose or what's best for you or what's best for your kids or what's best for society as a whole. They are going to choose, and you know what they're going to choose? To enrich themselves and make you poorer. That's what this whole thing is all about, at least in my view, Dr. Kelly.
No, I agree, and we've got to disarticulate the insurance companies, the government, big pharma from the practice of medicine. We've got to get back to where physicians are able to make decisions based 100% on what they believe is best for their patient and not be getting incentivized by these. It's why, let's get back to the fact, Roy, it's why every other country on the planet, with the exception of the United States and New Zealand, has banned the ability for for pharmaceutical companies to advertise on television, because it also corrupts the media. So people are only hearing what big pharma wants them to hear because they own the media. There is so much fraud and corruption in healthcare, and Bobby Kennedy has been a breath of fresh air. You might be frustrated with how slowly things happen, the things he hasn't been able to address, the fact that the COVID shots are still on the market, and all of those things are irritating. But he is making headway. He is exposing a lot of this fraud and corruption that has been rampant for decades in healthcare and has really led us down a very bad path where patients have not gotten the best care as a result.
I want to pick up what you said about getting frustrated with Bobby Kennedy or Trump or that, just because everything, just because they didn't walk in there, snap their fingers, and everything just made a 180 turn from where it's going. We didn't get to this spot in where we are in the US of A, overnight. It took us 250 years, good, bad, and the ugly part of it. And you're not turning this stuff around, that quickly. It is sometimes, I think it's a miracle, Tulsi Gabbard, Kennedy and stuff got the things done that they did given the entrenchment of so much of how the establishment has got a lock on most of our lives and everything we're doing now, and, you know, they're not going to let go of that grip very easily, if at all possible. It's going to be a fight. It may be one of the hardest fights that we've ever seen to try to unlock a lot of this stuff, Dr. Kelly.
I agree, and unfortunately, I have come to accept that some of this stuff, Roy, just is not going to get undone. There's just so much. Bobby Kennedy doesn't have carte blanche, unfortunately, to do a lot of the things he would like to do. The power of Big Pharma, the pharmaceutical lobby, is the most powerful lobby in all of Washington. So despite how much he or how much Trump wants to do, you see they get sidelined over and over again. You know, they revamped the childhood vaccine schedule only to have the American Academy of Pediatrics file a lawsuit against HHS and Bobby Kennedy and the advisory committee saying, no, you can't do that. And some, you know, rogue judge, Biden appointee in Massachusetts, sided with the American Academy of Pediatrics. So now we're back to ground zero. Mercury's back in, 86 vaccines back in. We're giving hepatitis B vaccines to newborn babies. You know, all. So they undid months and months and months of work at HHS simply by the stroke of a gavel of some rogue judge. And so, you know, it's frustrating. We're making, you know, a lot of headway, and you just have to take the wins where you can and accept that, unfortunately, we have a highly corrupt government. We aren't so different as we'd like to believe from third world countries, and you have to just accept the wins where you can and, you know, assume that not everything's going to get done.
Got about a minute left. Anything else our audience should know? Go.
Well, I don't know. I missed you last week. I don't know if you talked much about Lindsey Graham's untimely death, although he certainly was vaccinated, and having an aortic dissection is a known risk from the COVID shots. It is certainly possible, plausible that that's what happened, but I have to say that it is somewhat suspect to me that he was less than 24 hours back from a trip to Ukraine, where he had been openly and publicly stating that he was pushing the president to come down, you know, like a hammer on Russia and to apply these different sanctions. And then, you know, he comes back and drops dead from an illness that lasted only a couple of hours. It makes one really wonder what happened. Certainly, it would not be beyond. The Russians are certainly well known for having poisoned many, many people, many of their adversaries, and I'm still hoping that we get a little bit more intel about what really happened to Lindsey Graham.
Thanks for being on, Dr. Kelly. We'll do this again soon.
Thanks, Troy. Talk soon.
Dr. Kelly Victory, as we say, saying it only as she can. Man, that's a... I didn't take into account that until the good doctor said that about Lindsey Graham. I didn't even think about that. Of could possibly, who knows? I kind of like the Tyler Robertson, JFK, RFK assassinations and things that happen. Sometimes you just got to accept you're just never going to know, or you're never going to unlock 100% of what's been going on. One of the things that I wanted to touch on, this Mark Mitchell, now he's got his own, The Honest Pollster. He used to work for Rasmussen. But he's put this up. 1,196 days since O'Keefe, James O'Keefe, exposed Act Blue money laundering to the world. 107 days till the midterms. As Dr. Kelly pointed out, you know, the frustration, Trump, Bobby Kennedy, whoever, you know, in the administration or in government, your local level. It seemed obvious. They knock on a little old lady's door today, you know, out in Podunk, Kentucky or wherever, So did you give $70,000 to the Biden and Harris? And she says, you got to be kidding. Like, maybe I sent him $10 or something of that. But dude, do I look like I got 70 grand when she's in a hovel, like I say, in the middle of nowhere? Do I look like I got 70 grand to be tossing to that? And it goes on and on. We don't seem to get that seemed like an obvious exposure. O'Keefe did that, and it's like it gets buried, nothing. That's one way the Democrats, I believe, through George Soros, they create like the Hillary cattle futures. They put him on the winning side of whatever bets on currencies or whatever, and all of a sudden he's making billions of dollars. Well, then he starts floating them around to all these political campaigns, buying up attorney generals, secretary of states, district attorneys, getting them elected. And, we had the USA Aid, which we shut off a lot of that. But they've just been pivoting on that because we're not putting anybody in jail. And like the old adage says, this is not going to stop until people are behind. The people perpetrating this stuff are behind bars. And that's really what we're going to have to get to. Or if we're gonna turn this monster around. Because all you really have to do is do a few of them, and then the rest of the crooks are going to start going, whoa, wait a minute, maybe I might be next. And then you'll see, then they'll start either trying to cut deals, CYA, and all that, turning states' evidence so they don't get, incarcerated. It's like that once the first domino falls, and it's boom. So far, we haven't really had a first domino fall yet. And we're getting close to 2 years, over a year and a half into the second Trump administration. We're just now talking about, the election fraud. Well, until people start going to jail. And the election fraud is just not the votes. It's like this Act Blue money that's been, from all indications, illegally donated to put establishment candidates in to screw us all. Hopefully we'll get our act together enough to stop this before it's too late. That'll do for today. As we usually say at this time, mandatory you're back here in 23 hours. Why? We're the best darn show in the whole wide world. Until then, see ya.
The proceeding was a paid program.
All right, Roy. Yeah, it's just like you can't trust anything. I swear to God. Really, you can't. I mean, it's like that final they had, the soccer final yesterday.
Right.
When Trump came out at the end, all you hear is the leftist media. Oh, those just loud boos from everywhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'll tell you what. I watched that at the end. I didn't hear any boos at all. So,
yeah.
They just try to push shit as wherever and whenever they can. I swear to God.
Don't believe your lying eyes or ears, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. All right, Roy, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
You got it.